So this is a really common question that I get from Sync Academy members, and that is, Jesse, what genre should I specialize in? How should I really get started in this industry? I do a lot of different styles and a lot of different genres. It's hard for me to nail it down and figure out what I should be starting with when I get into music libraries. Now, in case you're not aware, I absolutely do recommend that you focus on one, maybe two, again, maybe two genres in the beginning. You should not be going into this industry thinking that you can come to a library and say, hey, I do hip hop, rock, EDM, orchestral, pop, funk, electro rock. It's a sort of a business 101 marketing concept that you will never be all things to all people and succeed that way. Every business, every industry, every person that's tried to create something and goes with that approach of like, well, I don't want to weed myself out of any niche segment of the industry, so I'm going to basically try to please everybody at once. You guys know that those businesses and that approach never works. You do have to make some hard decisions, and you have to brand yourself in this industry as the go-to, let's say, hip-hop producer or go-to rock producer or orchestral trailer, whatever it is that we're going to do. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps to determine which genres you should be sticking with based on your feelings with that emotion and with that genre, and also the marketability and how licensable that particular style is. Now, in case you're not aware, what styles are the most licensable, where they're all the styles that are included here in Sync Academy for all the tutorials. So rock, pop, hip hop, orchestral, corporate, minimal, tension, even Americana, country, even Latin. Those basically are all the major genres that are out there. So, you're like, well, what did you not mention? It seems like it's every single genre. Well, experimental music isn't that hot, okay? It's not going to be placed that much. Jazz music, might be some placements for it, but it's not a really popular one. So there are genres that aren't as sort of mainstream popular that you may find some opportunities for them, and I'm not saying you can't ever get it placed, but I want to steer you guys in the direction that if you're going to be producing music and putting time and energy into your craft, you might as well be making music that's going to be used, right? So that's why I want to steer you into these more popular genres and see if you can actually stay with those. So as we go through this list and I kind of walk you through the considerations of each one, be thinking in your head where you are with your love of music and your love of the genres that you produce, okay? But you will have to nail it down, and you will have to make sure you specialize in at least one, maybe two, okay? First of all, let me get my mouse here. Don't worry about an overcrowded marketplace. I know some producers, let's say they produce hip hop or EDM, and they think, well, there's already a million other producers that do those genres. I'm just not going to do that. Don't let that be a factor in determining why you avoid a certain genre. Reason being is because there might be 1,000 hip hop producers out there, but that doesn't mean that there's 1,000 great producers that are making licensable music, right? And even if there are, that doesn't necessarily mean that the one library that you're approaching might have an opening for a hip hop producer, because let's say they had 3 great hip hop producers, but 2 of them recently have been flaking out on them, not really sending them music, and you come in at the right time with great hip hop music and they go, hey, this is our new writer here, so we can pull him on or her on, and now we don't have to worry so much about the other 2 that are flaking out, right? So this is one of those things that you could basically make this argument for every genre. I mean, aren't there tons of rock producers? Aren't there tons of orchestral? Yeah, of course, right? We live on a really big planet with lots of people. So this is just one of those sort of cop-out excuses that I want you right now, just eliminate it, okay? Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if it's a really popular genre that a lot of producers do, because you have Sync Academy, you have the tips now to make music that's going to be on par or better than the competition out there, okay? So you can definitely still carve out a niche for yourself, and you can still succeed in really, really quote-unquote crowded genres, okay? So that's first and foremost. Let's start with what genre or genres, if it's 2, do you love? And I mean the ones that you listen to, you're a fan of, that you were making before you even learned about music licensing, that you maybe grew up with. The genre that really just resonates with you, that really just, it speaks to your heart, it speaks to your soul, and you just love to create it, okay? That's really, so I put that first because that's pretty much the most important consideration you should have, because if you're gonna have a career doing this, right, making music on a consistent basis, is it wise to get into polka music, which is actually not one of the licensable genres, not very highly licensable, or let's say you're not really into hip hop, but you think it'll be more marketable. Is it wise to get into a genre that you don't really resonate with and you don't love and you don't wake up humming that kind of the music and loving those artists in that style. No, of course not, because we're talking about years and years and years of a future income, future career for you. So you have to first and foremost be 100% in love with the genre that you select. Okay, so you might have, hey, I love all genres. Let's try to narrow it down though. Okay, which ones do you listen to the most? That would be one way that I would do. Look at your iPod, your phone, whatever you listen to music on. What's the most popular style of music that you're into on the most consistent basis, or maybe one or two, and start there, that you just are in love with. Okay. Secondly, what genre do you produce comes easiest for you? Okay, if these two align, let's say you love rock music and you can crank out rock music pretty easily, and I mean easy meaning riff ideas come to you easily. You can program the drums easily. When you're in the production mode of making that kind of track, you're not thinking like, what instrument do I put in next? How do I make this chorus pay off? How do I do this? If there's a bunch of unanswered questions about how to put a track together in that genre, you have some work. You will definitely have some work. You can get there, but if you want to start in a faster path, go to the genre that just you got the ideas for. And the reason why you probably have all those ideas creatively is because you've been spending years listening to that music. And so all of those ideas are kind of baked in already into your subconscious. So when you need to reach out for an idea for how to make that transition, how to make a riff, how to make a beat, you've already got all these ideas kind of baked in there. And so you just have this huge library of creative possibilities for yourself. And so you won't hit writer's block as often. You won't be sitting there, searching for a sound or just being confused about how to get through it. So this is a really important consideration once you determine what you love. Does it also come easy for you? Okay. Next, how fast can you crank out a track? Okay. Speed and consistency are very important in the licensing business. So let's say you love orchestral music, trailer music, and you feel that you have the ideas and you can put them out fairly quickly, but it takes you a month to create a track. It takes you, or 2 weeks to complete an entire track from start to finish, mixing and mastering everything. Not fast enough. Okay, you're gonna need to at least get your production up to at least 1 track a week, but I do honestly recommend 2 or maybe even 3 if you can do that per week. Now, there's a lot of ways, obviously, you can do a lot of shortcuts. There's session templates, you can have mixing templates, mastering plugins kind of preloaded, and you just sort of adjust them as need be. So there's a lot of ways you can really speed up the process, but with those first 2 questions answered, does it also come fairly fast to you? Can you create that genre or that sound fairly quickly? And I mean in that sort of 1 track per week, maybe 2 or 3 per week. So it's a really important consideration as well. In this genre that you're thinking about, or maybe a couple of genres, is it possible to create high energy up-tempo tracks? If you're not aware, high energy up-tempo tracks, meaning probably, 120 BPM or faster and danceable, and it just excites you and makes you feel good or optimistic, or even if it's tension or dark, it just has a lot of up-tempo energy to it. Can you create that style of music within this genre? Because 80% of the music that's getting placed on TV and streaming services, if you watch, it's all in that high tempo area and energetic, and it's pounding forward and it's trying to get the listener excited or on the edge of their seat. So if you're in a genre that doesn't really provide for this, that's something to consider, because 80% of the music you create, if it's all slow and dramatic and kind of, romantic or a ballad, stuff like that, and that's really all you're doing, some placements, absolutely, but lots of placements, no. That's just not where you're going to see a lot of use for your music. I want to make sure you guys are not wasting your time with a bunch of music that doesn't get placed. I've done that in my career, and it sucks to waste. I remember I created an entire album of music that never got accepted by the libraries that I was working with, and to this day, it still sits on my hard drive with nowhere to go because nobody wants it. It's too slow. It's too sad sounding, okay? There's just not a lot of use for that music. So learn from my mistake. Start with that high tempo, up-tempo, high energy stuff. Now, can you grow and evolve with this genre as well? Okay, again, this goes back to if this is going to be something you're doing for the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life, it shouldn't be a genre that you're bored with and that you feel like, I've already mastered it. There's really nothing else I can do with it. I have another point after this which will help kind of answer that for you. But is this a genre that you could see yourself getting better at and trying new things and incorporating new sounds and trying to go and pushing yourself to become a stronger producer in the long run? You got to be able to, again, in order to avoid that sort of point in the future where you feel like you're just making cover versions of your old music, which is where I was, and I almost gave up on this entire business because I was so burned out on it. You got to think about that right now. Before you hit that point, is this something that you feel like you can continuously evolve and grow and try new things with? Which brings us to our next point, which is, can you create hybrids with this genre? If you don't know what a hybrid is, it's just simply when you combine 2 different genres into one track. So if you love rock music, you're a metalhead, you love that stuff, right? Can you start to learn how to incorporate hip hop elements or maybe EDM elements or orchestral elements into that genre so you can basically start to branch out a little bit and evolve yourself as a producer? Creating hybrids is one of those real, almost guaranteed ways to separate yourself in this industry and stand out from the crowd, because most producers do not do this. They don't really know how to do this. There are many tutorials in Sync Academy. Actually, if you just type in hybrid into the search bar in the search up top there, you'll find some tutorials that I've provided and other instructors on about how to create hybrid tracks. Every single combination obviously requires its own considerations, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is, can you see yourself incorporating other genres into the one that you love and that comes easiest to you and that you can crank out quickly and you can create up-tempo tracks with, right? If all these are kind of lining up, then you know that you're in a really good position for this business, okay? And last, I want to just make this point. Whatever you do decide, make that choice, right? If it's one genre, maybe two. And I'm telling you guys, if you're going with two genres, you really should just have one focus genre, and maybe you dabble once in a while with the second one. You should not be probably going with both at once. I really do think when you submit to a library, when you try to get your foot in the door, get one sound, right? And put an entire album together, put your 3 or 4 tracks together, whatever you feel is the best, strongest way to approach them, and stick with one sound, one genre to put your best foot forward and brand yourself, right? If you come there and say, I do rock and pop and EDM and hip hop and country and everything, you just water down your brand and they don't know who you are, and they know you're not going to be able to deliver all of those genres great, because no producer really ever can do that, okay? Unless you're some savant that, has been composing music since you're 3 years old. Let's just be real, guys. Even myself, I have a few genres that I do really well that come naturally to me. The other ones, I'm just, if I have an opportunity and I can try to give it a shot, I will. But it's not how I brand myself, and it's not what I present myself to libraries when I want to get work with them. Okay, I want to become either the rock guy or maybe just the EDM guy. Those are my primarily 2 genres that I really specialize. But once you make this choice, right, and maybe you can make it at the end of this video, stick with it. Okay, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. I know it might be tricky, but there's a lot of producers that this month they think orchestral is their thing, and they're all into orchestral, and they invest in all these samples, and they're trying to learn how to produce better orchestral music. And then next month I talk to them and they're like, that wasn't for me. Now I'm doing EDM. And then the next month, I'm going to try rock. Again, you're doing that thing that most artists and producers are doing, which is a mistake, and you're just running in one direction, hitting a wall, running in another direction, hitting a wall. It's going to be hard. It's going to take time to get really good at that genre. But make that choice with all of these considerations and commit to it. Literally, don't take your eye off the prize. Stick with that sound, stick with that genre, and go forward. It is the only way you're going to get really good at that sound and then start to separate yourself from the masses. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments, questions, other considerations, make sure you leave it in the comment below this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. This is really going to be useful for a lot of you guys that are just getting started in music licensing and not really sure how to get your foot in the door. I hope this really is useful for you.